Well, hey, G.
Hey, guys.
So happy that you're joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of
Thanks
course. So I feel like a lot of people would probably recognize you from reality TV and kind of your online presence. So you've done Too Hot to Handle and The Perfect Match. And I'm always so interested to meet reality TV people kind of in real life just to see how they do measure up to their on-screen presence. And I will say you have a very bubbly and infectious, just engaging personality in real life. So did you always feel like you wanted to get into reality TV? How did that even happen? What was your kind of foot in the door there? Because you have the personality and obviously you're a babe for it.
Oh, thank you. That was really sweet. I never wanted to get into reality TV ever. I never tried to get into it. I was actually a midwife before I went on reality TV. I was in the end of my degree studying to be a midwife, delivering babies in a hospital. I never, ever thought that I would be on a reality TV show. I think it was a very random time in my life where I was going through a breakup. I was a few months into a breakup. I was kind of in Australia, missed traveling, wanted to be overseas and just experience life. And I had a page reach out to me, a casting page about a TV show. And it was very vague. The whole page had like an alias name. It was called Parties in Paradise. It was something really random. And I didn't take it seriously. I ignored it. A few weeks rolled by and I had like a social media manager at the time. I had like 50,000 followers and someone would send me like events and like little deals and things that I could consider. And she told me this page was reaching out to her by email and she's done a bit of background digging and she said it looks like a legit TV show and I should like take it seriously. They're very interested. So I ended up taking a phone call with them and then from then they were just like, we need you on the show. Like I had no idea what it was. They told me it was like a single, they said I was going to be sailing around islands in a tropical climate with single people and they didn't even like specify that it was really a dating show. It was kind of just like reality. And I was like, that sounds fun. I want to like party
It does sound
on a
fun
boat.
around beautiful islands. That sounds great.
So I was like, maybe I should do this. It could be fun. And I just went with it and it was like, it turned out to be what it was, Too Hot to Handle. I had no idea. And I just had fun with it. I just like loved meeting people and like being there. It was a great time.
I have so many questions for Too Hot to Handle. Firstly, I don't know if you sign something that when you come off these shows, you're very limited in what you can tell people, but two main questions.
Yeah.
So you're saying you didn't know it was too hot to handle going in, but when they do, I hope I'm getting the show right, when they say you can't touch each other or whatever
it's like with the little cone, right?
Yeah, Lana.
So yeah, when they're like you can't, you have to sustain from any sexual contact or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, do you put that on or were you really like, oh? Or
like,
do
they get upset?
Do they get you to like jam it up for the cameras?
I feel like
I'm so horny.
I feel like I'm not like the horniest person. So I was kind of like, no, but I didn't really care. I was like, I don't feel like I would be in a situation where I would want to like have sex with someone on TV anyway. Like I can't speak for what it would have been like if I met someone that I was really into, because that environment is like surprisingly intense. Like everything is amplified. You don't have a phone. You're not talking to your family. You can't contact any of your friends. Everyone in there is what you know, and things are heightened. So if I really liked someone, I don't know, maybe it would have been different. But I wasn't that pressed because I'm not like that.
I just feel like
I'm not that intense.
I feel like all the intros are like, hi, my name's Chanel and I'm super horny.
And I'm the horniest person on earth. I know.
I'm like, I like to do everything.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no sex. Oh my God, disaster. I'm going to go make out with everyone because I'm a bad girl. And you're like,
I will also say that for
People play it up.
because you were the first on the first the first series of it, right?
I was on season 3.
Season 3.
Yeah,
we didn't do our homework.
I didn't see it's all the same, honestly. I saw season 1. They filmed season 2 in the same house right before they filmed mine, so I didn't see that. It wasn't aired yet. It didn't air for a year. So I didn't know where we were was like a familiar space for the
Yeah.
show. I had no idea. It was just a foreign place from the first show. They filmed it in Mexico, the first one, and ours was in Turks and Caicos in a completely different villa. So I had no idea.
So as soon as the cone came out,
I
were
was
you
like, yeah, I know where I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'd watched it. I
Yeah.
remember when it was COVID lockdown, it was like a huge show. And I watched it and I remember thinking like, I would be so good on this show because like I wouldn't really care about doing anything with anyone. And then I would just have fun.
But then when you go to the bedroom and there's
Yeah.
those little night cams watching people go into the bed, do you
Yeah.
then genuinely sleep next to the person? Is that kind of, and do people say, okay, cut?
Yeah.
And
So you do. You have
Yeah.
to sleep next to them. There's cameras everywhere. There's cameras in the bathroom. Like I would shower with a bikini on. I showered with a bikini on for a month. I was like, I don't want these
the worst
producers to see
feeling.
me naked.
I mean, even wearing a bikini on camera, I feel like that would be quite intimidating.
Yeah, it is because they're getting so many angles of you and you don't know where like the cameras are, and it can be so many unflattering angles of like just your body and your face, and you're like so insecure and like self-conscious the whole time. So yeah, showering definitely crazy. Sleeping is so weird because I also like snore and sleep talk, and I'm like, great, they're gonna have all this footage and ruin my life. I worried about that for a year and none of it came out. I was
Yeah.
like, thank God.
They're like, we need to make sure the girls maintain all hotness at all
They're
times.
like, this is not hot. This is not too hot.
Open mouth breathing, like,
This is unhot, can't handle.
They're like, we're gonna cut that.
So I
Thank
kind of
God.
want to go back a step and talk about kind of the interview process because I have some friends on different reality shows and some of them actually mentioned my name for, I'm not going to mention what show it is, but I went through the process where they interviewed me and
Wow.
my interview story, I just was like, is this what it's like with everyone? Because when they were interviewing me, I was in a relationship. It was during COVID. We were living
Yeah.
together, but we definitely were on the rocks. And I think the people that mentioned my name were like, they're kind of on the rocks, but they're figuring it out. And when I did the interview, they're like, we really like you. We want you to come on, but we want you to break up with your boyfriend and be the single story on the show. And our
Wow.
main male character, he even gave you a name and we think it'd be a good match. And I was like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not breaking up with my boyfriend for a TV show and I don't find your hero attractive, so that's never going to happen. They're like, okay, never mind.
They're like,
Yeah.
we can't manipulate this one. Next.
But I was like, were there anything that they were talking to you about or asking of you, or it was just kind of everything meshed together and it was a great interview, or did they already have requirements?
They had a lot of questions around what I would be like on a night out, if I would approach men, if I was like confident to go up and speak to people, how many people I would hook up with, like if I would have one night stands. And I kind of played into a little bit.
Yeah,
of it,
you
I'm not
got
gonna
to.
lie, because I could feel the direction of the questions. And I was like, I'm just gonna say I'm like a little more fun than I am. But
I would say
still
you're very
am
fun. I would say
Yeah.
you're very
No,
fun.
you're
You're
very
very
fun.
cheeky as well. So
Yeah, I didn't want to come across as like boring, but I was like low key out of like a long-term relationship. So I had been boring for a while. I didn't drink for a long time. I didn't party. I was like living in Sweden. So I was like perfect. And then they asked me all these questions and I'm like, let's just like play into it a little bit. But
Yeah.
I am a fun person.
You definitely
so it wasn't
are a
like
fun-
a
yeah.
lie. It was just like a little bit of like, I'll
No,
give,
you
give a little
definitely-
sparkle to these answers. Like you can tell what they want from you.
Yeah.
And the questions are so random. Like it was just the most random shit. I've
No,
ever
you're
been
definitely a very bubbly person. It was also one of my friends who's now a very big reality star. And she is naturally a very fun, funny, entertaining person. But she told me when she had the interview, she goes, I was saying the wildest shit
That's
to
what
really
everyone
hook them.
does.
And then
Everyone does
she
that.
first goes on the show, innocent girl, I don't kiss anyone, I'm a good girl. And the producers are like, we
They're
fucked
like,
up.
what? Georgia? This is not what you said you were like. And I'm like, I don't want to go near him. I'm scared of him.
Yeah.
So on that point though, did you go in with a plan? So for both, so you've done 2 of these shows now.
Yeah.
Just 2, right?
Just to
Yep.
that
That have aired.
event. Yeah.
Yep. And
I'm like,
More to come.
so do
maybe.
you go in with a plan? Because I feel like for a lot of reality TV shows, someone will go in with a plan of what they want to get out of that reality TV show. I always find the people who go in blind just to see what happens, they're the ones that get taken for they kind of get taken on a ride in a direction they didn't think they'd be on. But those that go in with a solid plan, whether it's with their fashion or with their brand, if they're releasing a product. Did you go in, like, what was your experience with that?
I had no plan, and looking back, I wish I did. Like, so many people were prepared for this. They had, like, clothing they wanted to advertise. They had brands that come out.
I think that's what makes you lovable.
Yeah, I didn't think about any of this because I didn't even know what the show was. I think some people on my season did. They were, like, tipped off. So some people like plan to have this whole persona and this whole personality that obviously catered to the direction of the show. Like they're this crazy player that's like trying to find someone that settles them down. They want to like build an emotional connection. I just went in with no plan. And I was like, I don't really care about what's going to happen here. I don't care what happens after. I have a whole career outside of this. Yeah. Let's just have fun. And I just had so much fun. I was just like crazy.
We've talked a little bit about this because, again, I'm also very curious. I got hooked on the TV show Unreal, which is, for those who haven't watched it, it's basically a scripted behind the scenes of what happens on this particular scripted show, not saying this is actually what happens, but I think it does, with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, where there are certain producers and people who do very much connect themselves with some of the contestants and very much manipulate them. Did you feel like there was anyone in this show or any of the shows that you've been on that was very much, Georgia, I got you, I'm on your side, we're here to protect you, we, go out here and have this conversation, or no, he's really into you, but the guy's slagging you behind cameras. Yeah. Did you feel any of that go on?
The first show, no, because I was very naive to the whole setup, and I like to think everyone loves me and they're my friends. So I'm like, oh, these people are so sweet. The production on that show, Too Hot to Handle, was actually amazing. I can't fault them. They were not trying to push you to do anything. They would try and gauge where you're at with like who you were interested in and who you want to speak to and who you want to get to know, but they never made you feel like they wanted you to go a certain direction or that anyone didn't like you or they liked you. They weren't trying to stir the pot in that aspect. I think the second show I did, Perfect Match, it was a US production, and I think I was not prepared for how much manipulation goes on in that. Yeah, I feel like
by the producers
I got
themselves?
close to people that were in the production that just like were just fully manipulating me the whole time. They're like, she hates you. And I'm like, she hates me? I thought she was my friend. And then I would act off that. Obviously, I'm like, she's weird with me. Now I'm going to be weird with her. And it was all for plot. Like, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about Francesca. I thought she hated me on that whole show. We were actually friends before we went in. And the way they made us feel about each other was like we hated each other.
Wow.
And now we're like friends because we've spoken about a lot of it. And we're like, wait, that was such a misunderstanding. Like we had so many people in our ear and we came from such a healthy environment with Too Hot to Handle that we didn't see it coming with that production. It was just like so much manipulation. I guess they're just being your friends on another level and they're just like pushing you like things. Yeah. And it's hard to know what's true and what's not because you can't see what anyone's saying about you. You have to wait a whole year for that to come out. You can only take people off face value. And when you trust the people in the production and they're like, don't trust that one. You're like, gosh, I have to listen to this person.
I feel like the US has really mastered the science of the reality TV really show. They're like pros in there.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, people love drama. Yeah. People want to watch people and go, I'm not that crazy.
Yeah. Yes. So like even for example, when I was seeing the guy that I was seeing on Perfect Match, I told him, I was really upfront with him that I don't move fast. I'm a slow-paced person. I don't like to jump into stuff like without getting to really know someone because I've done that before and it worked out. It went really badly for me. He knew that about me and they kind of pushed him into thinking that I needed some grand gesture from him to know that he cared about me because he'd seen other people in the house and that maybe I was doubting how he felt about me and he should do this huge grand gesture and ask me to be his girlfriend. And I was like, he asked me and I've said yes in the moment because I was like, I don't want to hurt this person. He's so nice. 5 minutes later, we cut that off and we spoke about it. And he was like, yeah, they made me feel like I had to do something because they were telling me you didn't know how I felt about you. And I'm like,
Gosh, it's
I
so
told you I
literally
don't move
everyone.
fast. Yeah, it was like so much misunderstanding. He was like trying to be nice to me and trying to like make me feel like he cared. And then it ended up like looking like we left the show and our whole relationship and we ended it like 5 minutes after it began. And I just didn't want to hurt his feelings. And he thought he was doing the right thing. And it was just so much like confusion.
For no reason.
Which led to so much confusion with when people watched it and they thought we left dating and like it was not that at all. It's like I wish you guys saw the uncut stuff because we were like, he slept on the couch the night that he asked me to like be his girlfriend. The whole house went into uproar. There were fights going on. There was so much stuff I didn't know about with him and another person.
Oh, interesting.
It ended 5 minutes after it began,
So
and
I
he
feel
slept
like
on the
that
couch.
would be more entertaining than what they put
Yeah,
out
the
there.
uncut
Yeah, I know.
version.
I'm like, release that because people would
Yeah.
love to see that. But it ended up looking like we started dating, we left dating. I knew the guy
I guess
for
it
5
just
days.
doesn't
It was
cause
not
the
that
drama, right?
Yeah.
So
They want the storyline, and we
Yeah.
won, so it looks favorable to look like we left
Gotcha.
happy together.
You
And it's
deserve
like,
to
I
work
literally
it,
knew
yeah.
in 5 days. I knew nothing about him.
Yeah.
We were not dating when we left. We were friends when we left. We saw, like, we explored things outside of the show and it didn't work. And, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with – so obviously you film the show and then a year roughly later it comes out, right? How do you deal with allegations or plot lines that you know are potentially not real and or not that they're not real, but you know what goes on behind the scenes. You know the truth of a lot of stories where maybe out in the public eye, people are talking about something that isn't true.
Yeah.
How do you manage your expectations of that, even your mental health? And how do you just kind of almost sit in it? Because, you know, there's stories that Monica and I have heard, we've spoken about it. And I think it takes so much self-control to not put, what's the phrase? Like put more.
Give it more airtime.
Yeah.
But it's
tough. I'm not gonna lie, I suck at it. I'm so bad at it because I hate being misunderstood and I'm a very honest, truthful person. How I feel and how I act is intentional and I don't like try and mislead people or deceive people. I've never cheated on anyone and just like having people think things about me that are so far from who I am as a person and the standards that I hold myself to is really difficult because I put a lot of pressure on myself, I think, for no reason. I've just always been like that. I really, like, I want to be a good person. And when people don't see that, I don't know, it really affects me. I've had to, like, really work through that, especially after Perfect Match when so much stuff was said by the guy that I won the show with and things were misconstrued and all these stories were ran with that were favorable at the time because of the edit and everyone can't see past the edit. People are they see what's in front of them. They see that we were dating. They see that we left. They see that we're not together and I'm dating someone else and they believe the story of me cheating and it's just not true. And that was so hard for me. I've never been so low in my life. I think I was like ready to walk away from everything, go back to like my life. It was so hard. I hit like a full mental low, anxiety attacks. I was waking up and like throwing up in the morning from anxiety, remembering what was going on. I lost so much weight. I couldn't go outside. I had social anxiety. And I was also in a relationship at the time with someone that I felt comfortable with, but they weren't in any way helping that situation because it also involved them and they weren't kind of, you know, taking a stand of like, I'm going to protect this person and I know what happened and it's not true. They were kind of like, brush it under the rug, let it go, it's fine. And that's very much their personality and I can't hold that against them, but directly implicated me heavily and it was just so hard. Like I still deal with that now. It's like I can't escape what was said about me. People have obviously learned a lot about who I am as a person after that and I feel like they can read things a little bit better than when it happened. But I'll never change everyone's mind about that. And I'm at peace with that now. But that was so hard because I'm like not that person. And just like knowing that these things are said about me and I can't control the outcome is so hard. Like I still go on TikTok and Instagram and I see comments about me cheating and stuff. And I'm like, this is so frustrating just to have that over me, knowing I'm not that person. But I've learned to just be at peace with the fact that not everyone will love you. I put myself in an environment of people are going to judge who I am as a person. And I was really lucky with Too Hot to Handle that people saw exactly who I was. Perfect match. I won that show and things are a bit different. People invest in a whole different way when you win a show like that. And I have to be at peace with the fact that people will have an opinion and they don't know me. Like those who matter don't mind and those who don't mind matter. Like, how do you say it? I fucked that up so bad.
Other way around.
Those who, yeah, okay, whatever. We know what we're saying.
Yeah, we get the. I will say though, so we've actually all become friends, and you know, I can personally say you are very special, kind-hearted, and loving. I would say very unique person as well. You definitely have added value into our girls group since meeting.
Thank you.
And we
Love you
did
guys.
meet through a mutual friend,
Yeah.
which you were dating at the time. So I guess maybe there's something you might want to share with the world, maybe?
Yes, I'm single. Shock.
Single in New York. Single in New York.
Oh my God.
But I will, you know, it's one of those things, obviously, having been your friend and the more we've gotten to know each other, I would say we have a good, decent scoop on a lot of different things. And I would say one of my questions would be for you, obviously you've dated before the show and everything like this. You've dated people within the show afterwards. You definitely have learned a lot about yourself, a lot about other people. I would say the LA industry.
Yes.
But how differently do you go about, or what have you learned dealing with a breakup now in the public eye compared to before?
It's really terrifying because I guess you can't control what that other person's going to say with all the emotions that they're going through. Obviously, breakups are hard enough as it is, but when you add a public element and people's own, you know, ego and like concerns about how they're going to be perceived, like people say things they don't mean and you can't control that. You can only control what you're going to do. And it's difficult when things are brought public and it's so different to the experience that you experienced and you're like, oh my God, this is not what happened at all. But now people think that again. And it's like, it's difficult. It's really hard. I think
I feel
it's
like
something.
the truth always comes out.
The truth always comes out. People's character always shines through. And I know I'm a good person. I don't need to prove that to anyone. At the end of the day, the people that see this stuff, I don't know them and I'm never probably going to know them. And whatever they think about me shouldn't really matter. It still does hurt though at the end of the day. I think just being in public relationships in general comes with so much baggage because I am not an easy person to date, I guess. Now I have like a whole history online. I've been in TV shows. People know who I am from those shows. It takes a very secure, strong person to be able to like let all that be background noise and see me for who I am. And some people can be good at it for a little bit and then their own insecurities and other things creep in and it affects a relationship. I think going forward, I would probably keep my relationships very private, just for my own peace of mind and my own I don't want anyone adding like their 10 cents into situations. I don't want it to be public. I don't want to have to worry about what people are going to say or deep dive on the person I'm dating and create all these things like that make me worried.
Yeah,
I just want to keep it offline.
Do you have a lot of people thinking because you are in the public eye that they can just put their 2 cents in, or if they see something or hear something, they're just like, bam, here is a bunch of information that you probably wouldn't have received if you weren't in the public eye.
Yeah.
Have any of those things happened to you and affected your relationships while in them or after?
Definitely after. I think people have come to me at times and said things about the people I've been dating that I've tried to ask the person I'm with about and they've just denied it and like there wasn't enough proof and there's not enough stuff there. After, for sure, I've found a lot of evidence on multiple people because I feel like when people see that a relationship breaks down, they're more comfortable coming to you and being like, oh, this happened.
Yeah,
or
I
this.
hate that.
It's so annoying because Australians are not that way.
Like Australians
will
hey,
tell you
your
upfront,
partner
your
is a
partner's
piece of
shady.
shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Americans are
Like
not
XYZ.
like
Why do you think that is? What do you think the
I
cultural thing is of
think
not?
they're worried about being the catalyst to a breakup, whereas Australians don't care. They're like, I don't want this person to be unhappy. Americans are like, yeah, everyone will hate me if I'm the one that comes with this information.
I also
Don't
think
be like
Aussies-
that.
I also think
You know what I mean?
Aussies are aware a little bit more to know not to throw that person under the bus that had your back, where I think Americans are very much like such and such told me, and so then they're being in a toxic relationship, they're going to stay together anyway, and now you're the person who they're coming for. And so it's just created this environment where people are like, I don't want to get involved. I have dated someone before a little bit in the public eye, very briefly, and after I was like, took a step back and was like, you are crazy.
Yeah.
And everyone, his friends, everyone was like, hey, so you finally realized. I was like, not one person thought to go, hey, just there's a reason why he's had a lot of micro relationships and he's crazy.
Yeah,
everyone else
is
like,
fact.
we'll just wait for her to find out.
Yeah,
and
that's so
it was crazy
sad.
because then he started dating one of my girlfriends after me, and I was like, babe, no one's gonna warn you, but I'm gonna warn you, and it's not gonna seem legit because he's kind of ex, but. This guy's crazy. And then they dated, and she's moving to LA because she's like, he's beyond crazy. I was like, I tried to warn you.
And it's good that you even did, and she didn't obviously take
we
that.
didn't, obviously none of us spoke after that.
It's nice
even
to have
like
that.
Australians, like I think giving someone a heads up, but also Australia versus LA versus New York, because I presume in LA you were really in the LA. If you get warped into the LA scene, it's terrifying.
So scary. There was so many people.
It's like a dark hole.
I don't think anyone is actually friends with anyone there.
Yeah.
No, I think everyone is like, I have like 2 or 3 close friends there, and like everyone else I know is so, they like knew so much about things that they should have told me about, but would come to my face and be so nice and say nothing about it. The second I would break up or be in a situation of a breakup, they'd come to me like, I wanted to tell you for so long. Like there was so many moments where I should have told you, and I'm like, why didn't you?
So why didn't
you?
I
hung out with you so many times, and this was someone that you knew that was involved in something, and you just didn't.
I think no one is legitimately friends in LA.
No, I think everyone's opportunists.
A bunch of my friends during COVID moved to LA. And when I would see them and kind of be like, how's it in LA? They're like, Monica, it is wild. None of the girls have each other's back.
No, it's
One
so
of the
scary.
guys was kind of, did very well with the ladies. He's in a relationship now. But he was like, Monica, I would be like sleeping with this girl for like, say, a couple of weeks or something, and she'd pass out. We'd be at a house party and she'd like pass out in my bed or something, and her best friend would come grab me and take me in the bathroom and would do it. And then literally the next night, one of our other best friends, and he's like, that happens every night with all the guys. They're like, it's insane to be a guy there.
It's so savage. So I lived in West Hollywood for 4 years, and when I first moved to the States, and I was 2021, and I got so just like caught up in the LA side of LA.
So did I.
I honestly woke up and I was like, I need to get the hell out of here.
That's
I moved to Venice. I moved to Venice Beach first, and I had genuine friends, a genuine community. I was like, oh, this is like good LA living. And then I moved to New York, and it was so refreshing.
I love it here.
Because we have an amazing community here, an amazing friendship group. What has your experience been moving from LA to New York?
My God. Best thing I ever did, because I feel like I was displaced in LA for so long. I felt like I couldn't make meaningful like relationships, genuine connections with anyone. People were on my side or all around me when things were going well for me. And as soon as that changed slightly, everyone would run away and no one would be there for me. I had so many people using me for opportunities. I had people that I considered really, really close friends, like selling me to brands, pimping me out to people. I had no idea. And I was like so naive, just so naive. The stuff that I've learned about my whole experience there since moving, I'm like, what was wrong with me? I had no idea what was going on. But we're Australian. We're not raised to think that way. And it's really scary for an Australian person to be there with no network. and be in the scene and in all those environments where those
Because
people
you just
are.
trust people. You're used to
Yeah.
just taking
I'm
someone at
very
We
trusting.
come from a much safer country in all aspects.
Yes, we don't
And-
have people like that there. There are, but nowhere
It's,
near
no,
as
it's, no,
many.
it's nowhere near
Smaller
here.
scale.
Yeah.
So speaking of the differences between Australia and America,
Let's get into
what
it.
are some of the biggest differences you've noticed? Because I have a whole list.
I think men are
Yeah,
crazy different. Like
dating differences too.
Dating differences is crazy. I love American men with their like. I feel like they treat women way more respectfully. They like act more like gentleman-y. They want to
Like a
pay for
princess.
things. They want to like treat you like a princess. How long that lasts for, I don't know. But it's at least there.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Australian men.
Do you know
are
why? Because
raised-
I feel like American women, in a sense, demand.
They demand.
Well, it's
Where
more
in Australia,
traditional,
we're like,
yeah.
we'll
We're like,
split the bill.
we'll-
we don't
we'll
want
pay-
to be.
I'll pay for
it.
We don't want to be a
50-50 in
high
Australia.
princess.
They're like,
Yeah.
carry your bag, pay for
I'm
everything.
independent.
I've like got
Here
to
the
be more
girl's
like
like,
that.
no, you pay for this. And so the guys, I
Yes.
think, maybe a
have
little more
to.
conditioned, but I don't
Yeah.
think it comes all the time from a very like
Yes.
nice place.
Yeah.
But definitely, I would say there's a big difference in dating both.
Huge.
Um,
I feel like
Do you have
they-
preferences or
I
do
like
you have
American
a type?
men better. Yeah, I like American men better.
What do you look for in terms of what's a red flag to you or green flags
Oh.
that you look for? Give us your type.
See, my favorite red flag is like
Your favorite
I
red
have
flag.
like I fall for it every time. I'll never change because I'm like, yeah, I deserve this. Being love bombed. I'm like, love bomb me. I love it. Like I want to marry you. I'm like, when? Like I love it. And it's so hard for me to see that it's not okay because I'm like, I feel so special. Every time I'll fall for that, I need to like, I'm getting therapy right now. And I'm like, help me with this because why do I think I deserve all this stuff straight away? I feel like that's my most difficult one. I need to like try and find someone that's more stable, that doesn't come at me with all these like false promises. Like it's okay to feel like that, I guess, if it's genuine, but how do you know? Like if someone's love bombing
I'll
you
tell
or
you
not?
how you know, because
Tell
I
me.
have
I need to
the
know.
most loving boyfriend, and he's neither Australian nor American, so that's a win.
Yeah,
But
I love that.
this is the healthiest, most loving, respectful relationship I've ever been in. And here is how you know. Because a man can decide to do all those loving
Yep.
things for you,
Yep.
but his actions also align and sustain with his words.
Follow
And
through.
I'll put it this
This
way,
is it.
from the day he and I first even kissed and hung out and started, I was very emotionally shut down. And he's the emotional one and I'm more the shut down one. And but without us speaking about it, we both very actively decided to not let anyone else enter whatever it was we were figuring it out. And after the first night, so we were neighbors, and so we went straight into spending kind of every night together. And after the first night, he was like, I'm supposed to go on a date tonight that my friends are setting me up with, and then another date the following night with another girl. And I was like, go. And he's like, no, I don't want to I don't want to start something muddy. I don't know what this is or where it will go. He also made the active decision to not like other girls' photos or follow any other
That's a
girls
big
since
one.
me. And I didn't ask this of him to the point I got more conditioned to give up on that.
Yes,
and
me too.
he was somebody who just very actively from day one was like, not only am I going to show this girl I care about her, she's different, I am actively choosing to make the right decisions. And he learned one of those
Wow.
with a girl that he was kind of casually hooking up with. She goes, it's really disrespectful when you like other girls' photos and follow other girls. It's very disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
And he goes, in that moment, I thought, she has a really good point. I don't care about that for her. But when I find someone, I'm going to make sure I do that for her.
He's like, I won't do this with you, but the next one's going to get it.
Thank you for the tip. And I think my thing is I do see a lot of girls when there are genuine, really nice guys trying to actually do something really romantic or special for them. They're going, I'm being love bombed, and they just shut it off.
Yes.
Where I think you can actually accept loving gestures and someone really pursuing you in a healthy way, but everything else lines up. They don't gaslight you into other behavior that doesn't match up with the love bombing. I can only speak on how he makes me feel. I've never trusted anyone so much in my life. I've never felt so safe. I sleep peacefully at night. When he's away, I don't worry. And our love language is we're in contact. Although we live together, we're in constant contact with each other in just a very loving, flirtatious way. And it was really beautiful. a girlfriend of mine, Natalie, was saying that she was talking with some people and they were like, you know, I give up on dating in New York. Like, think about it. Who do we know that's actually in a healthy, loving relationship?
Now we've
and
got one.
one of the guys goes, Monica. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
it's
I
me,
love that.
Mario. It's me. It's me, Mario.
I feel like you really are.
Yeah,
And
But I think that's like a big point. It's how
Yeah.
someone makes you feel, because a guy can
Yeah.
be doing all those things, and if it
But actually
causes you
mean them.
anxiety, if he's
Yeah.
asking for like, if it's like a tit for tat, I
Yeah.
need this in return. Like, there's so many ways that he can be doing all those actions, but it can spike up your cortisol. You know, like you have to
Yes.
assess how you're feeling. How
listen
he's
to your
also,
gut. My gut
yeah.
never told me to not trust this guy, run away. If anything, I was like, I've never felt this peace before. Like, what is the
Yes.
ball gonna drop? And from just the get-go, he was just always very honest. We communicated about. He goes to therapy once a week. Actually, maybe that's what it is.
So hot. Therapy.
Find a guy who's in therapy.
I think it's so
Emotionally
attractive.
aware.
So hot.
I love people who are investing in themselves. I think it's so attractive.
Yeah.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
making efforts to be the best version of themselves. Like
Mhm.
so hot.
I
Therapy
also
is
think for
amazing.
men as well to have an outlet where they can let out their
Yes.
manliness and frustration. He's a black belt jiu-jitsu. I'm just gassing up my man right now.
Hot.
Oh, but we love him. But I think
He's
as
also
well,
a chef,
yeah,
which is amazing.
he's mine,
and he's taken.
and we love him.
So a guy in therapy, a guy who treats you like a
So,
princess.
yes.
What else we working
I want to
with?
like someone that treats me, really well. Like just makes me feel special, puts in time, makes plans, wants to experience things with me, like wants to do activities with me, show me around, is just like present when I'm with them. Someone that like I feel actually cares about me, because I feel like I get in relationships with people that hate me.
What?
I just feel like that's what I go for. I don't know why. Like I'm obviously not looking for that, but I think people either turn that way or they always were that person, but they were hiding it. So I'm really on guard about meeting people now, because I'm like, is this person going to hate me? Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't think they hate you. I think that you hold up a mirror to them, making them
This
realize
is
they
what-
hate themselves and they have to bring you down
You're
to
a
think that you
confident,
can keep
successful,
you.
beautiful woman. Like, I feel
Oh
like
my
you
God.
can make a lot of men who aren't confident in
They get
themselves
insecure.
will get insecure and want to bring you down to their level to make themselves feel better.
this is what you just said is exactly what someone I've been hanging out with just said to me. And I feel like it's true. I feel like because I'm so loving and nice, people's actual intentions like come out. They feel like really insecure about how they are as a person because they're hiding a lot, and it ends up coming out.
The one thing helped me when
Yeah.
I went through some really toxic, very bad toxic relationship, and I felt like they took my light. So I want to give this
I
advice
lost
to you
my
and
light.
anyone listening is people are attracted to other people who have light. And
it's
they
tough.
want to take it for themselves and leave you with none, and then convince
Yes.
themselves that they're the light, and that
Yeah.
they will always manipulate and try and get you to believe that they're the light and not you. And I think
Yep.
with age, we come to a place where our biggest hardship in life is not to let your heart harden and to let your light
Yes.
continue to shine and not dwindle it down because of fear or what other people have done to you, but instead have the courage and the confidence to go,
Love again.
you don't have your own
Yeah.
light, I'm not giving you mine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I've gotten really good at, because I used to stay in relationships that didn't serve me for way longer than I should. And I felt all the signs. I had the gut feeling. Everything was there, and I wouldn't walk away because I loved them more than I loved myself, I think. Now I'm at a point where I just love myself so much. I'm like, no, if I don't feel like I'm being treated the best, or I'm not able to express myself the way I want, I'm not the light that I was, something about me is changing, I'm really good at recognizing that.
That's
So
good, because that's really hard. It's like
it's
when
really
you love the
hard.
person, but
Yeah.
you're not being treated probably
Yeah.
how you should be treated. Walking away is
It's
it
tough.
takes a lot of guts. So
It does,
good for
yeah.
you for
And
building that.
I'm really proud of myself for being able to recognize that. And now, like, one good thing about myself is I never let previous experiences stop me from like loving fully. And that is kind of scary because I always just go with how I feel, but it's kind of a strength because I haven't changed the way that I am because of how I've been treated or what I've gone through. I have enough strength in me to be like, well, I'm going to love again, and I'm going to find someone that deserves that and reciprocates that and treats me with respect. And I'm really excited about that.
I
Like,
love
obviously
that.
now it's very fresh and I'm like new to New York City, single life, and
Yeah,
I'm going to have
how
fun.
are you meeting people? Are you on apps? Are you
Are
meeting
people in your
out?
DMs? I would love to
Yeah.
see your DMs.
Yes, I know, me
I feel like
too.
I haven't even announced it
Share
yet.
it to the group. Just
And
text,
there's a lot of-
text out God is a girl group
Yeah.
and just
Oh my God.
screenshot it to
I
us.
feel like people get like an inkling. They just know. It's like I haven't announced anything and people just know. Like so many people have come back sliding in and I'm like, I'm not even
Have you deleted
entertaining
photos off your Instagram page?
Yes, I have. So
Yeah.
that's probably something that people would
Oh, they
figure
wait
out
for it.
off.
Yeah.
They're like, ooh,
Also,
all
you
the couple pics are
There's no
gone.
reference.
Also, you are
It's my
just
time to
shining.
shine.
You're
Yeah.
shining differently. Like
Yeah,
I feel like
I
a
feel
big weight
myself.
of the world is lifted off your shoulders,
Yeah.
and I think
Yes.
definitely the relationship that you entered was very different towards it at the end.
Yeah.
But also speaking of exes, I think one ex in particular, a lot of people are curious about to know your dynamic with Harry.
Yeah.
Good old
Yes.
Harry.
Harry.
How's things with Harry? Bit my finger.
Honestly, great. Like
Oh.
it's very strange because we left things on such bad terms. It was really public. I was preaching my side, he was preaching his, which was very different to my side. I had to let go of everything there and just like move forward. But I did hold a lot of hurt because there was a lot of good times me and Harry had. And yes, it wasn't the most serious relationship because he is a very unserious person, but I had a lot of fun with him and I experienced a lot with him, even though things went really bad for a while. I don't like to leave things bad with anyone. I really like to make peace with the past and move forward. And I was carrying a lot of weight from that, from how things ended. And I'm really happy. We have a mutual friend. His name's Seb. He was kind of fostering us speaking again after my recent breakup. It was like I had a dream that me and Harry had made up. It was very random. And then I speak to my mum and my mum's like, I think you should make peace with Harry. And I was like, this is so random. My mum is not that kind of person. She's like, remove this person, never speak to them again. But she was like, I think you should make peace with this. Then I had Seb, our mutual friend, being like, I think you guys should speak. I think, it would be good for you both. And I was like, wow, that's 3 times in a week that I've been called to like make peace with this. I'm going to do it.
I feel like you had to forgive him.
I had to forgive
Not just
and
make
like
peace, I
let
think
it go.
Forgiveness
Yes.
like affects you the most.
It does
Such a
because I
weight,
hate being wronged and I hate people saying things about me that one I know they hated to say and that they know are untrue about me, and I hate leaving things in a bad space. I'm a good person and I actually don't care. People can wrong me and it teaches me a lot about them, but I don't want to be at war with anyone. I want to
I
go,
feel
you know
like-
what, I
yeah.
loved you at one point and I really cared about you and I want to take the good and leave the bad and let's just move on from that. Turns out it's
Totally.
all background noise to how we actually felt. And yeah, we didn't work and yeah, that's not our path, but let's be good with one another. If I see you at something,
Yeah.
let's say hi, let's be normal, let's like speak well about each other. And I'm in that place with him now and I'm really grateful for that. We had a really good
That's great.
conversation. A lot of things were said and a lot of things were straightened out. And I think it's just, I don't care about anything that
Yeah.
happened. I'm really at peace with that. I've
And
had a
yeah.
whole relationship since then. Whatever happened, happened. He was really honest with me about a lot and it gave me a lot of like relief. And
Almost
now
sometimes
it's
that's
just
all you
great.
need when
That's
the other
all I
person
needed.
can
Yeah.
recognize also, like, you never know what
Yep.
someone else is going through and their own
Exactly.
demons that they're battling with.
Exactly.
And sometimes you might be
yeah.
in the line of fire, but it's like
Yeah.
going in with empathy actually for the other
Yes.
person.
Yes.
And then once they recognize, oh, okay,
So
it's
that's
helpful to
one
move on.
thing I really found with Harry is that I know him better than anyone will because I saw the sides of him that are not trying to be something else, the raw, emotional, childlike sides of him that no one will really get to see. And I have a lot of empathy for that. And I sympathize a lot with that. I also think, I knew a lot about his family, his life that people don't really understand. And hurt people. And I think he is not a terrible person. Like there were a lot of things about him that were good. And I've seen those sides even now, having the conversations we've had recently.
He just makes terrible decisions.
Just sometimes he's an impulsive person.
Slightly.
He knows that. He's Slay. He's a Gemini.
What are you?
I'm a Sagittarius. I love
Sagittarius.
Geminis.
But
They're
your
so
birthday's coming
chaotic.
up then soon, right?
Yeah, December 5th.
December 5th.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
good.
Birthdays suck. I hate my birthday, so I'm like,
It's so emotional.
brush it
No,
away.
we got to
I
celebrate.
cry every birthday. It's like a tradition for me. I just like hate my birthday. I don't know.
No,
Everything
we
goes
got to
bad.
do something.
So much pressure.
Yeah, so much pressure to have a good day, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to cry.
No, I get it. That was me last week for my birthday, and then the girls surprised me, and I felt so much better for it.
Yeah, that's amazing. When
Yeah.
you have a good group of girls and you do something nice and it's just chill with no expectations, that's great.
Yeah.
I feel like I always put a lot of expectation on myself for my birthday. I don't know why. But yeah.
I know.
I'm just going to
totally get-
chill this year, do something chill.
We'll make it a nice one. Are there any more shows on the horizon for you?
Yeah, what's
Would you
coming
do any
up?
other shows? Is there ever a show you've looked at and thought, I would love to do that one?
Yes, there's definitely shows I would love to do. I can't confirm or deny if there is anything coming up, but maybe.
Would you ever do The Bachelorette?
I don't think so.
Would you ever do Alone?
Is that the one where they go in
The
the woods?
Survivor
With
show?
I would love that. I would eat that shit up. I would be so good at that. I'm like so survivally. I would be like rubbing
Day one,
sticks
she's
together.
like, production.
Help me!
Fire.
No, I would be so scared of like insects and animals, but I would like love to live outside and like survive
Yeah.
off the land. I would hate to kill stuff though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'd just be eating like bugs and like
Yeah.
But still killing something,
photosynthesizing.
babe.
I know, but like actually like an animal. Like I couldn't kill an animal.
Next headline, Georgia. Insects don't matter.
Insects are not real things.
So
I'm kidding. They are. I love
love them.
insects.
Are there any projects that you're working on or any endeavors that you're wanting to accomplish in the near future?
Yes, so I have had a thought of starting a podcast for a while. A lot of the dynamics of what I wanted to do on that have changed because I was in a relationship. I wanted to do something more, future, like lifestyle vibes. Now I'm single. I'm like, I've always wanted to do something centered around dating and like life in the city. And I think it would be really fun to do that. So I'm looking at that. I'm also looking at starting my own brand, which has been something I've tossed up a lot, but now I've got a set idea of what I want to do, and it's just a matter of time, and I'm just coordinating it around other things that are coming. So I'm really excited for that. I
Are you
can't give
planning
much
to
away.
stay in New
Yeah,
York?
you're going to be here for a while.
I
Good.
want to be. I'm in Williamsburg at the moment, loving it there.
Do you want to move back to Australia? How are you feeling about the
really.
US in general?
I mean, not really. One day I think Australia would be great for me, like maybe when I have kids and I want to settle down. I'm a fast-paced person and New York City really fits that. And there's just so much to do here that is not readily available in Australia. It's really great for work and I love Americans. They're amazing. So
Yeah.
I want to be here for a while, but I know one day I'll probably settle down, get a house there and go back home, but not right
Well,
now.
When are you
So-
going home next?
I'm going for Christmas.
Yeah, same.
Oh, I'm going to
Okay.
see you. I'm going to find you.
Yeah,
You're going to be in
come to-
Sydney, right? I'm coming.
I will be going to my hometown and to see my family for
For New
Christmas.
Year's.
And then New Year's and New Year's Eve will be in Sydney.
You're in
Amazing.
Brisbane, right?
I'm coming, yes.
Brisbane.
Like Sunshine Coast area.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Sydney.
Sydney. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going back for Christmas?
Yeah, I'm
Oh my
going
God.
back.
But she goes to Australia the day
We're
I
like,
leave.
yeah, crossing
No,
over.
that's so annoying.
But
But
we're-
Natalie will be with us in Sydney.
Okay, amazing. We're going to have the best time. I'm so
We'll cut all this
excited.
out for the
Yeah.
listeners.
Well, we're
They're
so
like, who the fuck's Natalie?
we're excited that we have you in New York, though.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm really happy that I didn't leave after my last relationship. I'm
So we.
exploring it on my own. And I'm really excited for like my individual journey here. I haven't had that. So I'm really
I know,
excited.
excited. to
as your
hear
friends, we're
more.
very, very proud and excited
Yeah.
to see you actually come into your old self again and
Yeah.
really shine again. And
Thank
and,
you.
we're
needed that.
excited for your next chapter.
I'm so excited.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I had an amazing time. You guys are amazing.
Love you, G.
Love you more.
Thanks.